Welcome back to Icy Chap's Edge. I'm Icy Chap here with another knife review, this time looking at the amazing Cold Steel Recon Scout in SK5. This might be a discontinued item. I'm not sure if Cold Steel is still offering this knife in SK5. I know they are offering the Sanmai 3 version, but if you do a search on the internet, you should be able to find this knife. And I think you should. The Recon Scout is one of those knives that I think everybody should own. This was a requested review, but to be honest, I would have done it anyway because I love this knife so much. And the reason is its versatility. It does pretty much everything well. It's got an amazing sheath system. It is an excellent wilderness survival blade, and it makes a great tactical fighting knife as well. And those are really the three things I'm going to talk about throughout this review, so let's get to it. First, the sheath system. This is Cold Steel's SecureX sheath system, and it's amazing. I wish more knife manufacturers would copy this design. If you've got a non-corrosion resistant carbon steel, you need a sheath that will not retain moisture, and with this sheath you have it. It's hard plastic, very durable, will not absorb moisture, and it's got a lot of attachment points. You have rivets and slots to accommodate webbing, and you also have a belt loop. And the belt loop is quick attachable. You've got Velcro, you've got a snap, so it's going to be very secure. And if you decide that you want to carry this vertically, upside down, on a load-bearing vest, you can. If you don't want the retention strap, you have screws here and here, just remove them, and the retention strap and belt loop come right off, and you've just got that great plastic SecureX sheath. Also, amazing retention. Absolutely no movement, no sound. To remove the knife, apply a little bit of pressure with your thumb. It comes out smoothly, but locks up very secure. Amazing sheath system. I really wish you could get this with more knives. So, why is this such a great wilderness survival blade? Well, let's look at the blade design first. Number one, modified bowie design without a radical clip. This does two things. Number one, gives you real estate to pound on with a baton if you're splitting wood. Number two, if you need to pry with it, you've still got a very strong tip. Almost the full thickness of the blade through the tip, even though they sharpened a little bit that false edge. It doesn't actually have a sharpened edge to it, but it does have a grind. So, you've got a strong tip. Number two, you've got 5/16 of an inch thickness and a nice long blade, 7.5 inches, I believe. So when you swing this, you're going to have decent momentum. The blade has got pretty good heft for a 7.5 inch blade. Also, you've got a full flat grind. Very important because you want to be able to put as sharp an edge as possible, and you want as little friction as possible. The latter third of the blade has a nice sweep to it because of that bowie shape. All of those things combined make this a great knife for slicing. It's going to be very sharp, and you've got nice belly in the latter third of the blade. You've got great thickness, so when you baton on wood, not only is the steel going to absorb that shock, and you don't have to worry about damaging your blade, but it's going to split wood easily. It's going to act like a wedge. Also, great handle. You've got Kraton, which is going to be grippy even in poor weather conditions. It's going to insulate your hand from the shock of pounding on the blade, and it's going to insulate your hand from the cold. Also, another very important thing for wilderness survival, small tasks and bushcraft. This knife is amazingly well balanced. I can't really balance it because the weight really is weight neutral, and you've got this hilt in the way. So even though the hilt is not ideal for bushcraft, because the knife is so well balanced, I can choke up no problem, and I've got excellent control. I can use this knife for whittling, for notching wood, creating tent pegs, creating feather sticks, cutting all kinds of cord and fabric, and I don't have to worry about balance or control. Also, the SK5 steel is extremely tough and very, very good for edge retention. It sharpens up very, very well and takes an amazing edge, and it will hold it. So all in all, an excellent choice for wilderness survival. Why does this make such a great tactical fighting knife? Also, look at the blade design. I have a very fine tip, even though it's strong, and on hard thrusts, this is going to pierce. This is going to go through pretty much any flak vest or body armor on a hard stab, and because the blade is so thick, when it does go in, it's going to cause a lot of damage. On a slash, this also is a very effective knife because it's got nice belly and good heft for follow through. The balance means it's going to be very nimble. I'm not going to have a problem controlling this knife. I've got a full hilt to protect my hand, both from oncoming knife attacks and from my own hand coming over the blade. That shouldn't be a problem anyway though, because I've got this great Kraton handle which is going to be very grippy even if it gets wet with water, sweat, blood, whatever. So all in all, a very, very well balanced but strong tactical fighting knife. Couple that with the fact that it's got this great sheath system, and I can really deploy this knife any way I want. Because I can carry it vertically on a load-bearing vest, it's going to be able to come into action when I really need it. And let's face it, if you can't get to your fighting knife when you need it, what good is it? The fact that this sheath is so secure, but at the same time has a lockup that really encompasses that hilt, means the hilt is not going to get wrapped up in clothing, which is very important for a tactical fighting knife. So really, for any way you want to deploy this knife, whether it's a wilderness survival blade or as a tactical fighting knife, it's going to be up to the task, and it's going to perform it amazingly well. I'm really, really very impressed with the design and the execution of the Cold Steel Recon Scout, and I really think that at the price point it's available at, thanks to Cold Steel, there's no reason why everybody should not own this knife. I give it a very high 9 out of 10, and with good reason. So that's my review of the Cold Steel Recon Scout. I find absolutely nothing wrong with this knife. The only reason I don't give it a 10 out of 10 is because, let's face it, you could use slightly better steel, you could make it a little bit lighter, and you could possibly reduce the size of the hilt a little bit so that it still protects your hand but isn't quite as obtrusive for wilderness tasks. So I give it a 9 out of 10. Love the knife. Go get one. That's my review. Please leave comments, please subscribe, and have a good one.